Paddy Pimblett moved to 4-0 inside the UFC octagon on Saturday with a unanimous decision victory over Jared Gordon in the co-main event, but it did not come without controversy. A very close fight, depending on how you look at it. Some people maybe thought it was a clear decision for Gordon, maybe 3-0, 2-1 on the scorecards, but Pimblett ends up getting the decision, and he is still undefeated under the UFC banner. This fight, what can you really say about it? It was not the most action-packed. It didn't have the biggest moments out there, but Gordon definitely showed that Pimblett is probably not ready for the top level of UFC lightweights at this point. He still has a lot of work to do to take the next steps to be competitive with those top-level guys right now, and I think it goes to show that we need to take it slow and steady with Paddy Pimblett. He is a guy that obviously has a big following, a lot of star potential, but do the skill sets match up to that level of notoriety and following? Right now, my answer to that is no. But of course, he is still a young man. He still has a lot of time and room to progress and become a better fighter and work up that chain. But I think we need to take it at a reasonable rate for him. And I think when you look around the potential matchups for him, there's obviously plenty. You could go many different directions. As far as the timing of his next fight, it's going to depend on his hand injury, his foot injury, his ankle injury. It seems like he came out of this thing pretty banged up. Ideally, you would have him on that UFC London card in March, but I don't know if he'll be ready for that. Either way, we're going to see him back in the octagon at some point in 2023, and I think the fight to make is against one Matt Frevola. Frevola been calling him out for quite some time now. He badly wants that fight, and he called for it again in the aftermath of what he called a significant robbery, as did many others in the MMA community. But I think that would be a very interesting matchup. Obviously, Frevola has some wrestling credentials, has big knockout power, as he just showed in his last fight against Otman Azatar. I think that would be a very compelling matchup, and Frevola has done some good work in the UFC, but obviously not a highly ranked lightweight at this point. But I think he does provide some interesting challenges for Pimblett. He has a name. He's been around long enough that is a sellable fight, an interesting fight, and I think that's the one to do next with Paddy Pimblett. But obviously, there's going to be a lot that Pimblett has to prove coming off this. He needs a dominant win, something more significant than this close fight in his next one to kind of separate himself from this one. So we will see what happens in terms of his injuries and the timing, but to me, when Pimblett is ready to go, you book that fight against Matt Frevola, and it would be a curious one to see how it plays out.